know what we came to do.
Hey,
You know what we came to do. Look, I'm in a league of my own. Y'all need to leave it alone. I'ma just eat everything. I'ma just leave you the bones. Call it an even exchange. There ain't no need to explain. Yeah, it should be overstood. Like when I hop on a plane and I fly over your hood. Y'all should be knocking on wood. Don't make me go against the grain. I ate my Wheaties, I'm good.
College football fans, what's the deal? It's your boy Kelly Flicks, and I'm back again for another episode of HBCU Flicks. This week, we got plenty of stuff to talk about on the docket, including a lot of swag business. So, we'll get into it. But first, as always, let's get into these tweets. So, the homie G, Coach Gerald Huggins, hit me up in a tweet. But let's add a little bit of context. I was super excited about 15 HBCU players being invited to NFL minicamps. I mean, it's something to talk about. So, I only thought it was 9. G replied and said, yeah, I was a bit shocked too, but I'm happy to see it. Mostly 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th string guys. So, I mean, first, we need some damn air horns for that, because shout out to the HBCU guys out here doing it, getting it in. We need another one. That wasn't. Thank you. One of them 15. So, anyway, I think we should go ahead and pull these guys up. Let's give everybody a good look at them, man. So, take a look at these guys, these HBCU players. These are some of the top HBCU players in the land last year that are now getting a chance at the next level. If you've seen my HBCU draft board, you'll notice a couple of these names. Aubrey Miller on there. Isaiah Land, top 5 guys are there. Alfonso Graham is a great running back out of Morgan State that's going to get a chance at Pittsburgh this year. It's going to be fun to watch. Also, Darius Higgins is a Division II guy that's going to get a chance at Indianapolis Colts by the way of Virginia State. Lots and lots of talent are going to be added onto NFL rosters this year. I can't wait to see how it goes for some of these HBCU players and what type of opportunities they get moving forward. I can't wait to see it, honestly. So, let's get into the playbook, man. What we talking about today? I told you we was getting into some SWAC business, so here it is. SWAC quarterbacks. Big question on who's going to be the quarterbacks head into the fall. Who's going to be the top guys? I think the biggest question right now is who's going to be the starter, okay? So, right now, I got about 4 or 5 starters that I have marked down for the SWAC, and we're going to go across all the other quarterbacks that are question marks and other quarterback battles that are going on. Then, we'll also talk about the best coaches in the SWAC. Shout out to my boy Jamal Roberts, man. He definitely hooked me up and put me on game. Top 10 coaches in the SWAC. We're going to get into it. Then we got the 3 rising HBCU coaches, right? We got 3 guys. We got 2 guys from the SWAC and 1 guy from Division II SIAC Conference that I'm really going to talk about and I'm excited to dig into because they're going to have their first year. We even go through a little bit of schedule breakdown. Just a little bit. It's only mate. Just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. So don't worry about nothing. Let's get into it. Quarterbacks and their competitions. So should we go competitions first? Nah, let's go starters. We'll talk starters first. So here's what we know. This is what we know going into the season, college football fans. We know Texas Southern and Andrew Body are married. Okay? Texas Southern got on that knee, proposed Andrew Body, and now this is Andrew Body's 3rd season as quarterback at Texas Southern. This is a stack or starve type of year for Andrew Body. I need to see over 1,500 passing yards. I think that he can do this. In his freshman year, we saw a glimpse of this. But the offense has moved backwards in recent years. So now also, Florida A&M returns Jeremy Musa, the best quarterback in the SWAC. I've been saying it all offseason. I'll continue to echo it because going into week 1, he's the best quarterback in the SWAC. Now, we got Bethune-Cookman. This one is a little bit of a wobbler, okay? You have to be paying attention lately to HBCU news and these different transfer portal entries to understand why I think Tyleik Bethune is the starting quarterback at Bethune-Cookman. He has not been announced as a starting quarterback. I'm sure there's a full competition with a full slate of quarterbacks going at it day after day right now. But who I think is going to be the starter is Tyleik Bethune. Tyleik Bethune, 6'6" quarterback, is a graduate transfer from Delaware State. That is going to try his chances down at Bethune-Cookman. Now, as a graduate transfer, in my opinion, a graduate transfer doesn't move for just anybody. A graduate transfer, in my opinion, only moves to a school that he knows he's going to play at. He's not going to roll the dice with his last year of eligibility. I think Tyleik Bethune is going to plant his roots in Bethune-Cookman and get as much out of it as he can in this only year. Now, we have Alcorn State. From what I've heard of Alcorn State, Tyler Macon is the guy. Aaron Allen was the incumbent from last year, has lost his starting position to Tyler Macon. Tyler Macon is number 1 at Alcorn State now. Prairie View A&M returns their starting quarterback, Trayvon Conley. Trayvon Conley's the guy. I'd like to see him at a higher volume passing the ball. But as Florida A&M has made it known, their philosophy is running the ball. That's what they do. So let's get into the competition now. This is a little bit more difficult to understand because right now the dust has not settled in the SWAC as far as quarterback competitions. In the SWAC right now, these are the competitions. Southern currently has a 5-way quarterback battle. 5-way. Coach Eric Dooley said in the spring, if he had to name a guy right now to be starting quarterback, okay, well, that was the spring. We're approaching the summer and then the fall. So I need to know the summer starter and the fall starter. So that's what's coming up next. I think we're getting close to the time of the Harold Blood. Is the starter conversation is beginning to fade. We're a little tired of hearing about it because there's a couple guys, new guys that are coming on the block. You got Zay T-Set, the highest player according to 24/7 Sports that's committed to HBCU. Zay T-Set is a guy that's going to be entering the Southern. Another guy that's going to be entering into Southern is Jalen Woods, 3-star quarterback out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's going to be joining the Southern quarterback room. Quarterback Coach Willie Totten is going to have a very tough job trying to figure out who's going to be the guy, but he won't be short for options. Well, along with those young guys, you also got guys like Nick Bowden that's out there going to be playing quarterback for him. Dylan Mohorta, transfer from UAB, is still there. So there are plenty of options, but sometimes too many options leave you with no options at all when it comes to quarterback. Now, Jackson State also has a pretty big battle. A lot of people thought that Jason Brown was the guy. After watching the spring game, I came on here and told you I didn't think he was the guy. If we're being honest, Sunshine, young Grayson Thompson showed out a little bit better than Jason Brown. And I think the Jackson State coaching staff actually saw that. They just go out and they grab another quarterback, Jacobin Morgan, 3-star transfer out of Syracuse, tall quarterback, 6'6" quarterback. They just bring him in. This is almost a month removed from the spring game. This isn't one of those young quarterbacks you bring in to groom. This is a guy that you bring in to join the quarterback competition. I think there's a quarterback battle in Jackson State, and Jason Brown has not won it yet. So with Jackson State, as I said, I talked to Kobe about it on his show weeks before the spring game. I think Zy McDonald gives you one of the best chances to win the ball game, for being honest. He didn't play during the spring game, didn't play because of injury. And quite honestly, Zy McDonald, his elusiveness, gives you a shot at scoring every drive. That alone would entice me if I'm looking for a new quarterback. Now, Morgan comes in. It's a pretty good look. He'll be a nice option for Jackson State. I'm not sure if they'll take the option, but he'll be a nice option for Jackson State. Maybe he'll be what they thought Phillip Short was going to be. They do have similar frames. So next, we have UAPB. All right, they have a 2-way QB battle. Nothing too exciting. It's UAPB. They calm down. Okay, this is Arkansas Pine Bluff. But at quarterback, they have a couple different guys, about 3 different quarterbacks. I'm told Mekhi Higgins right now is the guy. They have a freshman quarterback that's also pretty good. It's also battling for the spot. Alabama A&M, extremely big quarterback room. The quarterback room grows by the twos every 2 weeks, apparently. This quarterback room is ridiculous. They did bring in a quarterback, Brian Plummer, right? A guy from University of Buffalo. He switches over to safety for the spring game. But they just keep bringing in more and more. Between Corey Chavez, Langford, Quincy Casey, ATJ, they just brought another recruit at quarterback. They are stacked, okay? And all these guys have a certain size and height measurements to them. If you notice, other than Langford, these guys are all at least 6'3", all the way to 6'6", right? Tall, slender frames. They can also run the ball. Aside from Quincy Casey, they can all run the ball. Coach Connell Maynard has a certain type, right? And he has a guy, prototypical quarterback in his mind that he thinks can run his offense. You can see that with his recruiting, the type of guys he's bringing in with these measurements. Now, who can be the guy is the biggest question for Alabama A&M because, as I was talking about before, their running game is on point. It's going to be about who's going to be the signal caller. Now, next up on this list, we got Mississippi Valley. Mississippi Valley has an interesting quarterback battle. Jelani Eason enters into the professional ranks. TJ Goodwin goes into transfer portal, has a couple offers from D2 HBCUs, which is pretty good. But this Mississippi Valley battle will be between quarterbacks that are new to the program. These quarterbacks are brand new to the program. The quarterback Jaden Sisk and Tajarian Williams will be battling it out throughout the summer and the fall. Not sure who's going to take the job, but it's a two-way battle right now. Now, Alabama State has a three-way battle, in my opinion. We'll see if it's actually even a battle at all. But Demetrius Davis cannot be your guy going into the fall. There has to be an open quarterback battle because you need him to be pushed. Apparently, nobody's pushing him. In the spring game, we didn't see him complete a pass. So, going into the summer, into the fall, you have Nikhil Lett, a young guy, young quarterback. Might be a redshirt freshman at this point. I'm not sure they even used a year eligibility last year, sitting behind Demetrius Davis and Miles Crawley. So you really have some time to play with if you want a quarterback to build around. It might be Nikhil Lett, being real. But to go with Nikhil Lett, you also have Damon Stewart, transfer out of UAB, another option at quarterback. He just transferred about 2 weeks ago. This Alabama State team can't be sold at quarterback from what I've seen. Then we have Grambling. Grambling has a very interesting quarterback battle that may already be done. It may be finished. If I had the choice today, I would choose Miles Crawley. Miles Crawley would be my starter at Grambling today. And I'd run with it the rest of the season. He has the strongest arm. He's the vet. And between his body size and his ability to read the field, going from deeper passes to shorter passes, really work through his progressions, I'm comfortable with that at my quarterback. I know what I have at running back with Floyd Chalk and Lamborghini Williams. I know what I got. I understand I have a new offensive coordinator and a new playbook that's being installed. I need a quarterback that can run my offense the most efficiently. What's all these blackouts, man? Why I keep blacking out? Sorry about that, you guys. I'm not sure what's going on right now, but it's a couple blackouts. But anyway, with Grambling and Miles Crawley, you got Miles Crawley versus Julian Calvez. I really liked Julian Calvez last year. I think with another year of development, Julian Calvez can be a very good quarterback. He's developed very well on the ground. He's learned how to run the ball through last year, and I kind of got thrown to the fire last year. But now, even watching the spring game, just watching it over again, you can see how he's a little bit more decisive when determining when to run the ball. And that's good for a quarterback, especially a quarterback of that size, around 6'5". If he fills out a little bit more, being decisive and running the ball really puts a lot of pressure on defenses. So Julian Calvez is definitely a guy to watch out for, but I think Miles Crawley is going to be the guy at Grambling moving forward. So off of these quarterbacks into the SWAC coaching, let's get it. These are my top 5 SWAC coaches going into the fall. It's a little sticky, okay? It's going to be a lot of explaining going down. But as you can see, I value SWAC championships, number 1. Number 2, head-to-head games do mean something to me. But championships swamp all of that. I'm not sitting around looking at records and win percentages if we aren't winning SWAC or MEAC championships. When it's about being the best coach in the SWAC, it's about winning SWAC championships, not having the highest ranking or having the highest record. It's not about that. It's about winning the games that matter the most. So, Coach Fred McNair, you're a top. You're number 1. You are the guy. He's one of the longest tenured coaches in the SWAC that are of the active coaches today. Now, one thing I will talk about with this SWAC and all these top coaches, a lot of these coaches are new. A lot of these coaches are within 1 or 2 years of their hiring. It's very hard to rank a full top 12 of all of these coaches when half of the coaches are in their first year, right? A little difficult to understand coaching style and philosophy when some of these coaches have only had 1 recruiting cycle, maybe 2 recruiting cycles. We're not even sure what type of guys they want at quarterback in some cases. So, I digress. Connor Maynard at 2. He gets 2. They won 1 SWAC championship. They won it during the COVID year, during the COVID spring year. I don't care. Y'all take your asterisks, throw them in the trash. If your team would have won them, y'all would have won that SWAC championship too. Be real. So, with Connor Maynard winning that SWAC championship, I put him at number 2. Connor Maynard's record in the SWAC is not as high as other coaches like Willie Simmons. His record in the SWAC is actually 29-20. He is 0-2 versus Willie Simmons. He is also 0-2 versus Coach McNair. Oh, and another thing I should have brought up. I'm so sorry. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But with Coach Fred McNair, he is 4-1 against Coach Eric Dooley. 4-1. A lot of people really value Coach Eric Dooley and where he should be at on this list. But he's 4-1 against him. But he is 0-2 versus Willie Simmons. All right. So, as I said with Connell Maynard, he's my number 2. Really given because of his SWAC championship, that puts him up there for me. The rest of these coaches have not won a SWAC or MEAC championship as a head coach. Coach Willie Simmons got close in 2019 year, but that year was voided. So, number 3, I got Coach Willie Simmons. 2015, he was at Prairie View A&M as head coach. He moved to FAMU for the A&M in 2018 and was coach of them in the MEAC and during their move into the SWAC, where FAMU is now. So, Coach Willie Simmons' record in the SWAC, though, is actually one of the best records of all of these coaches. It's 54-23. They're first place in the MEAC in 2019. Coach Willie Simmons has got out some great prospects in Marquise Bill and Isaiah Land, 2 guys that are at the Cowboys right now. And he is 2-0 versus Coach Fred McNair. He is 4-1 versus Connell Maynard. And he's 2-0 versus Eric Dooley. It's impressive. Coach Willie Simmons is extremely impressive in the regular season. When it comes to winning and beating certain teams and beating upper echelon teams, quite honestly, because if we look at it, Coach McNair has been with Alcorn State. Coach Maynard has been with Alabama A&M. And Coach Dooley has been with Prairie View A&M and Southern. Those are good teams to beat, right? That's a great resume. I think Coach Willie Simmons, of most of these coaches, has one of the better resumes in the SWAC. The SWAC championship is what keeps him at 3, in my opinion. So, Coach Willie Simmons, with a 54-23 record in the SWAC, I got to give him 3. It's a little tough, a little difficult, but I got to give him 3. If you win a SWAC championship, he does have all the accolades, I think, to be number 1, if we're going to be honest. Coach Fred McNair has 2 SWAC championships, but even having one with the record that Coach Willie Simmons has puts you in the mix, right? So, at 4, we got Coach Eric Dooley. Coach Eric Dooley started coaching the SWAC in 1997. He had a host of assistant coaching jobs throughout the 2000s, but his head coaching record in the SWAC is only 27-22. And he is actually 1-4 versus Coach Fred McNair. Tough pill to swallow for any Eric Dooley fans, but Eric Dooley, and as he's been known as the offensive guru in the SWAC, has won a lot of games, being a part of a lot of great winning traditions. But as the head coach, he's had a hard time winning the big one. Then 5th, Bubba McDowell. All right, so I should have put an asterisk next to Bubba McDowell's name because that's where it comes in. 8 coaches are in their first or second year coaching in the SWAC. All right. There are new leaders at the following schools: Grambling, Jackson State, Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman, Mississippi Valley, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, Prairie View A&M, and Southern. That's 8 of the 12 teams in the SWAC. There are only 4 teams in the SWAC that had the same head coach from 2020. A little over 2 years ago. So, I say that to say, when it comes to ranking the top 12 coaches in the SWAC, got to understand that some of these guys are still building their programs. We've got to take into account that it takes time to install philosophies, and it takes time to recruit the right guys, and it takes time to make real changes for a football program in the SWAC, in the MEAC, or in any college football program in the nation. In 1 year or 2 years' time, you may not see everything you want to see from that coach. Coach Bubba McDowell, to me, is tied with 3 other coaches. He's tied with Coach Hugh Jackson, and he's also tied with Coach Eddie Robinson, Alabama State. All 3 of these coaches have made big strides in their own ways. Coach Hugh Jackson's done a great job with branding and the recruiting trail. Coach Eddie Robinson's done a great job competing with a roster that pretty much was already that he inherited, right? Coach Bubba McDowell's done a great job competing at Prairie View A&M and almost making them to a SWAC championship. So you have to give them their just due. But at the end of the day, at 6-5, 3-8, and 6-5, as your total record in the SWAC as a head coach, doesn't make you a top 5 coach, does it? But in this scenario, it would, given the fact that we have so many new coaches in the SWAC. Now they kind of see the caveat that I have to understand and take this way. I kind of take this list with a grain of salt. Because to me, in ranking a top 10 list, top 12 list of SWAC coaches, it's too many new coaches. All right. So speaking of new coaches, we'll get into a bunch of new faces that we got within the HBCU ranks. And atop that list, like I always talk about, one of the most popular names on this list is Coach T.C. Taylor. Coach T.C. Taylor is now the head coach at Jackson State. He was the recruiting coordinator at junior college for quite some time before moving up to North Carolina Central as a coach. His alma mater is Jackson State. He broke the receiving record. He has the most receiving yards for any Jackson State receivers ever. He's the guy. And Coach T.C. Taylor has brought his recruiting wherewithal over to Jackson. He's brought it. I had them ranked as my number one HBCU recruiting class this past year for good reason. Even though they've lost a lot of players, Coach T.C. Taylor has really found a way to continuously bring in talent. And that is one thing that not all coaches have. Everybody can't do that. Everybody doesn't have the knack to bring in talent. Some guys may bring in football guys, but bringing in talent, guys that don't just look good on film, guys that actually translate, like Seven McGee, is a feat in and of itself. So let's get into we'll get a good look at this Jackson State schedule. That's really what I want to take a look at. So let's get into it. I think a good mark for Jackson State this year would be 7 wins. 7 wins is a solid mark for me. It's a place where you can still have room for improvement, and you also can still compete for a SWAC championship. Because of your non-conference games against South Carolina State and Texas State, your first 6 games are extremely difficult. You have a very tough track to start the season. 3 top SWAC teams play Texas State plus South Carolina State. Got to be real about this. So let's check out the schedule. Let's check it out. Here's the schedule. Jackson State schedule 2023. Start the season off MEAC SWAC Challenge against South Carolina State. It's going to be a tough game. Very tough matchup. Then you go to Miami to play Florida A&M, Orange Blossom Classic. Now you also got Southern the week after that, which is a little tough. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure who scheduled that. And then after that, you play Texas State. Texas State just got a commitment from TJ Finley, quarterback at Auburn. He's a 4-star quarterback, played at Auburn for the past 3 years. Pretty good quarterback. He's going to look to start anew at Texas State. Along with that, Texas State is also one of the best Group of 5 recruiting classes. So something to watch out for. But next week you bounce back, play Bethune-Cookman. Then you got Alabama A&M, who may still be looking for a quarterback, hopefully not. And you got Alabama State, Mississippi Valley. So this is the easier stretch in your season, right? After Bethune-Cookman, Alabama A&M, now Bama State, a little softer. Valley, come on. UAPB, come on. Texas Southern, we're not sure what they're going to be, but this is going to be a game at Jackson, right? Which means a lot for Jackson State when it comes to bringing their home crowd and having that home field advantage. Then, lastly, we got the Soul Bowl. It's going to be in Jackson, Mississippi this year also. So they'll end the season on 2 home games that are tough games, but at home, which helps a lot. So I think 7 wins is very realistic for Jackson State. 7 or higher. I think that this Jackson State team has a good chance at really going for a run for the SWAC championship. It's going to come down to the Florida A&M game, as always. Now, next up, we got Mississippi Valley and what Mississippi Valley schedule looks like. So with Kendrick Wade, Coach Kendrick Wade is a new head coach at Mississippi Valley. He is also from Mississippi Valley. His alma mater is there. He went to Mississippi Valley, graduated in 2007. Also played there. Now with Kendrick Wade, what you're looking at is an extremely youthful staff. A staff of coaches that are very privy to the social media era. We're talking about a staff that just did mic'd up for 4 different coaches during spring football training. They're ahead of the curve. There is no other SWAC school doing mic'd up other than Jackson State. They did it with a couple of players. So Mississippi Valley has never had no mic'd up. But keep it real. Mississippi Valley also has one of the lowest athletic recruiting budgets and athletic budgets in the nation, period. FBS, FCS, they have one of the lowest. They make it do with the smallest amount. What they're doing now, social media-wise, is going to push their brand more forward than they ever could have thought of. Now, I think Kendrick Wade, taking the torch from Coach Vincent Dancy, who took a job up at Colorado with Coach Prime, is going to be able to turn the corner for Mississippi Valley. I think Mississippi Valley had very formidable teams in the past 2 or 3 years with Coach Vincent Dancy. Great defensively and great discipline. they could not turn the curve. They couldn't get over the corner. I'm not sure if it was the quarterback play or the offensive line play, but they definitely work hand in hand. So let's get into their schedule. Let's check out the schedule for Kendrick Wade and what they have coming up. They have a favorable schedule. They start the season off against 2 Division II opponents. Play Central State of the SIAC in Ohio, and you play Delta State, one of your rivals, down the street. And tough game is going to be at Delta State. I say it's a tough game. I know it's a D2 team, but they lost this D2 team last year. Okay, they lost to them. Delta State was much better last year also. They lose their top receiver and their top quarterback, who was also their top passer and rusher. So I think we got a good chance here, Valley, to start the season off 2-0. Then you go up to North Carolina Central, which is going to be a very tough game. Not sure if Valley will make it out of that. Another tough game in Florida A&M. Doesn't help at all. You got Prairie A&M after that. So a tough 3-game stretch after your first 2 games. To me, Valley winning 5+ games is a win. They haven't done that quite a while. So after Prairie A&M, you got University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Play UAPB, then go to Jackson State, which is a tough matchup. These next 2 games are tough. Jackson State, Alcorn State, back-to-back. Tough Mississippi matchups. Then you go to Bethune-Cookman, Daytona Beach, and you finish the season against the Alabamas, Alabama State and Alabama A&M. This is a pretty difficult schedule. You start the schedule off pretty soft with your nice non-conference, but as the conference schedule ramps up, woo, woo. I mean, in between going against these Mississippi schools and then having to play the Alabama schools soon after, I mean, geez. Hello, if there's ever a time to wake up, it's going to be these last 5 games for this Mississippi Valley team. If you want to get to that 5-win mark, they're going to at least have to win 2 of these 5 games here. At least 2. If I bookmark them for winning the 2 D2 games earlier in the year, they do have a day with Arkansas Pine Bluff. And you do have a tough stretch at the end. If you can squeak out 5 wins, I'd be very impressed with Kendrick Wade and what his coaching staff can do. So, our last coach is Coach Quinn Gray of Albany State. If you're a Florida A&M fan, you'd recognize the face. He was an all-star standout quarterback for Florida A&M. He was that guy. He was a guy that could do it on the field and then leaves and does it with the X's and O's. He's a great coach. He's moved on from a couple different universities. Most recently, it's been Memphis University, where he was an offensive analyst. But before then, he was an offensive coordinator at Florida A&M, if I'm not mistaken. So as Coach Quinn Gray takes over Albany State and really is going to try to take the torch from Coach Gabe Guardiola and what he's done with back-to-back SIAC championships and things of that matter, we're going to see a very athletic Albany State team. From everything I've got in the spring, we're going to see a very athletic Albany State team. I think we'll see a team that looks a little closer to what we've seen out of Bowie State in 2022, where a lot of the guys fly around. You got a bunch of pro guys that are simply developing more and more every year. That's what we saw under Coach Damon Wilson at Bowie State. Players develop year after year. We saw Raymond Boone develop year after year. We saw Josh Pryor develop year after year. Same thing with Khalil Wilkins, too, at running back. With Albany State right now, there's a bunch of athletes. We got our new spread system being input into this Albany State team. We're not going to see the run-heavy, on the ground and pound style Albany State team. We're going to see a more wide open looking offense and a philosophy that's based on throwing the ball, keeping the ball in the air, which means to me, this Albany State team can honestly open Pandora's box with the spread passing attack in the SIAC. This is a run-heavy league. I talked to you about Allen University, and we saw what Allen has done in the past couple of years. The quarterback I was speaking about, David Allen, led the SIAC in passing 2 years ago just by using Allen's spread pass attack. I think it'd be very easy for Albany State to also use a similar passing attack to attack this SIAC conference and really put everybody on notice about really covering the ball in the air. Okay, let's play defense, get some passes. So let's check out this schedule. It's our last schedule of the evening, guys, but this is a Division II schedule. Week 1, you play Wingate. Wingate is a pretty good team, all right? I'll say before we go through the rest of the schedule, Albany State winning 6 games to me would be very positive. 6 games to me still puts you in line for SIAC championship if you win the right games, because quite honestly, these 2 non-conference games are going to be very difficult. Very difficult. Now, Wingate did a very good job last year. If they finished the season beating 2 HBCU opponents before losing. So this is a very formidable opponent in week 1. Albany State will take them on Thursday. Not sure which way that will go. The next week you play Valdosta State, right? Valdosta State fell off a cliff last year. They brought a new coach, a very good coach, by the way, but he did not live up to expectations, and they went 6-5. We saw Virginia Union beat them 45-40 last year. So there is a chance for our Albany State Rams to get a win against Valdosta State. That game will be in Albany State, so it'll be a great matchup to bring at the house, I think. Now, next up, you got Savannah State, which I think is a pretty good matchup for Albany State. I think they'll take advantage. Then Kentucky State, another game they'll take advantage. Central State, give me another dub. Keep lining them up. And then Allen University now. Getting to Allen. I think Allen in the middle of the season is a little dangerous, all right? It's a team to watch out for, a team that can knock you off if you're playing with them. But nonetheless, I think Albany State will handle business. Then you got Edward Waters. Edward Waters is another formidable opponent. That game is going to be in Florida. We're going to learn in the next couple of years what type of advantage, home field advantage, that Edward Waters has playing in that $4.3 million stadium. All grass, jumbotron, 2 sides, fits around 5,000 people. We're going to see what type of home field advantage Edward Waters has very soon. Then we got Miles College and Fort Valley State to end the season. So Albany State has a decent schedule. They got a pretty good draw for the difficult teams in the SIAC if you're thinking about it. You really only face off against Fort Valley State this year. The rest of your opponents, quite honestly, are mincemeat. If we're looking at Savannah State, Morehouse, Kentucky, and Central State like they're going to knock off Albany, I mean, don't hold your breath. We got to be real about this situation. This Albany State team is in a pretty good situation to make it back to the SIAC championship if they handle business. We'll see, but I think Coach Quinn Gray will put them on the right path to a good season, finishing the season strong, and playing games in the postseason, meaningful games in the postseason. So that was our slate for today, man. I'm so happy to have you guys with me again. I hope everybody is enjoying their Memorial Day, Memorial Weekend. Go ahead and eat some barbecue, do what you do. I will have you guys know that along with HBCU Flicks dropping on Monday, there will be a new episode of MMM Women's Basketball. I'm talking about the WNBA, my favorite, the Las Vegas Aces. Gonna be talking about them this week with my girl Simone. So don't forget to tap in with her. She does her show weekly. And don't forget to stay tapped in and subscribe with us. Because if you don't know, we just reached 100 subscribers. We just made it. I need some horns for that, though. I came from. I need some horns for that. Come on. Whoa, hold on. Where my horns at? Okay.
At least I got good flicks if they shake us down.
We just made it to 100 subscribers. Thank you to everybody that subscribed. Told a homie to subscribe. Subscribe real quick when I told you. I appreciate all that. We appreciate all the love y'all giving to Lace Up Podcast Network. Now, we just did our road to 100. Now we're doing our road to 500. We're going to get road to 500 going. We get to 500. Then we get to 1,000. And we just keep pushing, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in with me. It's your boy Kelly Flicks. Stay tapped in with me on Twitter and Instagram at Kelly Flicks. I'm out of here. Peace.